Speaking of doing really well, Bull,
Yeah.
Jameis Winston over his last 2 games has played at an incredibly high level, helping the Browns go 2-2 in his 4 starts as the starter, beating the Steelers and the Ravens. Tonight they take on the Broncos in a primetime matchup in Denver. We've talked about the Jameis Winston roller coaster since the day he took over. There's some highs, there's some lows, but he's played really well in the last 2 games. So do you think we are due for a regression, or has Jameis played well enough in your mind that he's kind of turned the Jameis roller coaster into the Jameis lazy river, and it's just all smooth sailing from here on out?
Well,
I don't know how you even answer this question. I don't particularly love this question, Mike. No offense.
That's fine.
But I know you want to be sensitive about it. It's. I mean, who the hell knows? How can you? I guess everything we talk about, who the hell knows? It's all prediction. But
do you have faith in Jameis?
That's the question. Do you
not
have
really.
faith that he's
Yeah,
done
do you
with
have faith in Jameis?
the eggs?
No, I mean, how
not
could
to that
you?
point.
I mean, he's only played 4 games. He had 1 bad one. He played well enough. I mean, it's a 4-week stretch where he's played 3 good games. No, I don't trust that he's going to just play great the rest of the season. Most quarterbacks are not going to play great the rest of the season. You see, I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are up and down, and I think Jameis is in that group. So, will he play well tonight? I mean, Denver's defense has been pretty good. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game, but Pittsburgh's defense before last week had been pretty good, and he did a really good job in the snow. So, I guess I got to get off the fence, and I'll say he plays a solid game tonight. But neither way would surprise me.
Yeah.
You know what? I was watching something the other day, and they said, Napoleon. People believed that he was short, and come to find out, historical data has proved that Napoleon was actually taller than the average male back then.
Was he?
Yeah.
That.
It's been passed on along generations and generations, and
So that would be a myth.
a myth, right? Like
Urban myth.
kind of like the urban myth that germs get you sick. Germs actually get you sick, not having a coat on outside.
Oh, you mean the cold weather?
Yeah, cold weather.
Yeah.
Change of weather has nothing to do with whether you got pneumonia or not.
Yeah.
My grandma and my mom were completely out of their mind with that.
Which is why you still wear a hat.
Which
to
is
this
why
day.
I have a hat on in the building right now and a scarf. But I say that to say this. I believe that the narrative that Jameis Winston is a roller coaster ride is basically an overstated myth that we've been told because we don't watch all games. We don't watch all games equally. And the narrative around Jameis Winston has been, yes, he's going to throw you 30 touchdowns, but he's throwing 30 picks. But when you look at the historical data behind Jameis Winston, you look at it, some of his numbers are just as good, or if not even standard, than regular quarterbacks who have a track record of being steady, or quarterbacks that are decent quarterbacks. I think sometimes when we ask the question about his roller coasters, I have to say, all right, well, look, he's played 4 games, 3 of those games, he's played pretty well. He had the one game where he, threw some interceptions and they played bad against the Chargers. Turns out Chargers defense is pretty good. So look, if you look at it comparatively across the board with other quarterbacks, the numbers are about comparable.
Who?
I think
But
I
who's
looked
the example?
once. Isn't he like 111 touchdowns and 74 picks or something?
148 touchdowns and 103 picks in his career.
Okay, so that's a plus
Again, that doesn't
45.
tell the whole story, but
No, it
tells
doesn't.
some of
That's
the
one of the
story.
stats that we look at. I think you have to ask this to answer the question. If there's 3 bins that you could put him in, mostly good, mostly bad, or in the middle, up and down. I have him as an in the middle, up and down. If I had to push him closer to one side or the other, that would be very easy for me. He is closer to mostly good than he is mostly bad. I do think that to your point, I think that the circumstances over the last couple of years have led most people to believe he's a backup. Yeah. He's not a starting quarterback. You can't rely on him. He's had a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. He has had stretches in his career where he has thrown a lot more touchdown passes to interceptions. Right now, that ratio isn't even 2 to 1. Mm-hmm. That's what we would say would be acceptable. Anything below that, you're really in trouble.
He's only had 1 year in his career where he's been 2 to 1 or better. One.
I know.
And that was with the Saints playing 7 games. So in a full season, in his 5 years where he played double-digit games, he never had a 2 to 1 touchdown.
No, I mean, look at his career numbers. His career numbers are 1.5 to 1.
Not even. Well, worse than that.
Yeah, you'd have to be 150 to 100 to be 1.5 to 1, and both those numbers are very close.
His timing-
but he's below 1.5 to 1. And at some point, whoever decides or not that Jameis Winston is our quarterback moving forward, what you have to have is a sustained body of work where he is more than 2 to 1. What good is it? We saw this last year. What good is it if Joe Flacco, who throws a lot of touchdowns but is prone to the picks, throws the picks in the biggest game of the year and you get your toe stepped on and your season's over?
When he was in New Orleans, what was it when he got hurt? Was it 12 touchdowns or what?
That 1 year, the only good touchdown interception ratio of his career, 2021. He played 7 games. He had 14 touchdowns, 3 picks.
That's what we want.
That's the outlier.
Now, that's probably, but isn't that the largest body of work that we've had from him over the last 4 seasons?
Yes.
So, and Sean King was very clear to bring this out.
Yeah.
He said that when he left Tampa, there were a series of things that forced him to sort of reevaluate his play. Mm-hmm. One of them was you plucked him out, you put the GOAT in, and they won a Super Bowl in the next season. That can be humbling. It wasn't just the GOAT. He was a 46-year-old GOAT, or however old Brady was when he won that last Super Bowl. He had some time to stand on the sidelines and watch the game and to understand from maybe a different perspective just how crippling interceptions can be. And so if you take that stretch of work and you add it to this bit, you said it was 12 to, what was it?
It was 14 to 3.
Okay, so if you add 14 to 3 to this year, you get 21 to 7, which is 3 to 1.
And then ignore the 2 years in between?
Yes.
I mean, we do.
Now, he didn't play a ton the last 2 years.
No, that's why I ignored those.
But he had 6 touchdowns and 8 picks in the last 2 years.
So post-Tampa then,
Yeah.
he's 27 to 15, which is real close to 2 to 1. That's what I'm saying. You've got to get me to 2 to 1 before I buy in.
And I'll always say this. We talked about this earlier this season. We saw a quarterback that would not push the ball down the field, right? All interceptions aren't created equally. I'm going to, as a person who's an aggressive play caller, I like aggressiveness on the field. I like to go for it. I'm going to take some interceptions in the scheme of things.
Especially the ones that are downfield, because those are like punts. Yeah. The ones that are 3 yards in the flats that can be returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need you check. Listen, it's a lot of Colt McCoys out here. I don't need check down Charlies, the Brady Quinns of the world. I need somebody who's going to push the football down the field, and it opens some things up. I can accept turnovers. I can accept interceptions. Where I don't want the interceptions are in the red zone.
Yeah.
I don't like red zone turnovers because you're taking points off the board. But if you're going to give me the turnover because you're trying to fit it somewhere and the guy tips the ball in the air, I'll take that. But for the most part, I'm not saying Jameis Winston is going to be, I don't know, the next coming of Jeff Hostetler win you a Super Bowl as a backup. But what I am saying, I think there's more put onto him than normal quarterbacks get, because the narrative is that he's a turnover machine, which I think in the last
true.
And turnover machine, we just talked about it. It was 27 to 15. That's not a turnover machine.
Okay, but we're talking about his whole career. He's been a turnover machine.
Do you believe that?
Well, you could also call him then a touchdown machine.
I mean, we could move the goalposts wherever we want it. If I say just the last 3 years, he's got as many interceptions as touchdowns.
Okay.
To this point in his career, that one season in New Orleans is the anomaly.
You're right, but it's the largest body of work we have post Tampa.
Okay,
I mean, you got to go by 2 things. I agree. You can't ignore everything. You got to look at the total career. But for me, I've changed my opinion on Josh Allen this season.
Yeah.
Prior to this season, I just said, you're not winning a Super Bowl with that guy. You're not. He's going to throw a pick at the worst possible time, and he's going to cost you in a big spot.
I changed my mind on Tua. I think Tua.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I mean, yes. But I haven't. I mean, I always thought Josh Allen could win a Super Bowl.
I thought he was a great quarterback who wasn't going to win because of his turnovers.
Yeah, but
this year, he's washed his turnovers out. By the way, did you see what he did last night? Became one of 4 players in NFL history to throw and catch a touchdown on the same play.
Did he really get credit for both?
They credit him for both, which I disagree. No, it's not a reception, but it's a touchdown. It's a receipt. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He does not get credit for a reception. he gets credit for a receiving touchdown.
So more importantly, because I checked out weeks ago, who has him in fantasy, and did they get double points for that?
So during the game, Chris Collinsworth was mentioning, because he was playing Jack in his fantasy league, he won his fantasy game because of that play. So he got 12 points.
You get 4 points for the pass and 6 points for the touchdown reception. You get 10 points for that?
Yes. I think he said in his league,
That's
I
crazy.
thought he said it was more.
We'll check it out.
Because
That's
each league
crazy.
scoring is different.
Yeah.
But he did get credit for a throw. He's the one of 4 players to ever do that. To get credit for throwing and catching a touchdown on the same play.
So real quick, because
Hold on 1 second. In Josh Allen's, and by the way, he rushes for a lot of touchdowns, which Jameis certainly doesn't do.
Yeah.
But in his 7 years in the NFL, he's only in 5, even with his high interception rate.
Right.
5 of his 7 years, he's been more than 2-to-1 touchdown interception. 5
Yes.
out of 7, and 5 of his last 6.
But to G's point, not all interceptions are created equal. Again, anecdotally, my eye test, watching him, he was throwing them at a like Baker throws picks. You're like, Baker, what are you doing there? Why are you even throwing the ball there?
There was a game,
and so there were bad interceptions.
There was games against. I think it's last year where the Jets won that game on like a punt return or something. He was throwing. He just dropped back and just threw the ball up. I was like,
yeah, you can't do that. Now, I will say though, Bull, I think that, and you always say this, it's an unintelligent man who doesn't change his mind with more information.
People can get better.
I have believed that Josh Allen was a top 8 quarterback who was going to put up ungodly numbers because of the offense and the system that they run, but ultimately was going to keep his team from winning a Super Bowl because of his propensity to throw picks at awful times. After watching him this year, now again, you can kind of say it's gravy training because it's not in a critical moment, but watching him this year, watching him operate, he's changed his modus operandi. He isn't pushing balls into spots that he has no business pushing them into. He's willing to live to see another pass. And if he can continue to play like that through the playoffs, I'm interested to see how far they can go. This team can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Josh playing the way he's playing right now.
Last year, he threw too many picks, definitely. I don't think he's been that way his whole career, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to know the numbers of picks in
too
big
many
spots.
is interesting. Bull, like we're using 2-to-1 is where I want to see Jameis.
Yeah.
And you're saying that
And that's
he's
kind of
always, that he's
flawed
always
to
been
begin
2-to-1.
with.
2-to-1 is not a great ratio. I'm looking for 4-to-1.
Well, he's been way better than 2-to-1 every year but last year since his rookie season.
Right, but he's not 3-to-1. And I want...
He has been some seasons.
Well, for his career, he's not. I don't think.
Well, but...
And Bull, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, like if... And you know these numbers when you see them. When you see 38 touchdowns and 13 picks, okay, that's a... I can win with that. I can absolutely... That's 3-to-1.
If you include his rushing touchdowns, he's done 3-to-1 a few times.
Well, if you include his rushing touchdowns, yeah.
And you include his fumbles, too.
I think, for my money, he's the... And I know you guys are going to jump all over me for this because there are quarterbacks that run the ball better. I don't think there's a more effective runner of the football at that position than Josh Allen. Now don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
Every time, give me, if you get one play, then, okay, give me Lamar Jackson. There might even be other quarterbacks I would throw in there before Josh Allen. But what Josh does, Josh picks his spots, I think, very wisely. And the play that he scored on the Amari Cooper lateral to him, I think the most impressive thing about that play was he left his feet at the 3.5
He's an
yard line.
athletic freak of nature.
He is an athletic freak, and he's big.
Yeah, sure.
So when Lamar does it, I'm always like, oh God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
When Josh does it, I'm like, oh, he could drop his shoulder and knock the linebacker out of the game.
True, but Lamar does a much better job than Josh Allen of not taking big hits.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But I just think that in terms of overall running game, like knowing when to run.
Please don't make me drop this flag on
ability
you.
to...
Don't make me drop
last thing on the... bring it back to Jameis.
No, hold on.
Bring it back to Jameis. Last thing.
Do you have faith, yes or no?
No, you're not going to slide on the Lamar Jackson. You just trying to make Josh Allen runner to Lamar Jackson. We're not going to do that.
I didn't. What are you talking about?
I was waiting. I was waiting to don't make me drop this flag.
I was very clear to say...
Don't make me drop it.
Don't mistake what I said, and you clearly have.
Okay.
Yeah.
We went to the review.
So here's what I said. If you've got one play and I need a quarterback to run, it's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I even said, is a better runner of the football than Josh Allen.
After further review, the call of the field stands. Jay, we'll take that.
Jay.
We're picking the flag up.
Okay.
Last
cool.
thing on
Good job. Good job by the review. On
The
that.
last thing on Jameis is that if you want to, you guys have bought in, that's fine.
How you going to say I bought in?
All I'm saying with Jameis is, if you're going to convince me, not that you have to convince me, I'm just saying, for me personally,
Right.
convince that Jameis is now a different quarterback than he was in Tampa, then I got to see it more than 4 weeks.
And that's fair.
That's all I'm saying.
I would like to also, Jason,
Yeah.
you've been very quiet on this. I'm going to
I've
set
just
you
enjoyed
up
the show.
by asking you this, okay?
And then we're going to Ohio State next.
We didn't take into account in this, the reason I expect a clunker from Jameis tonight, not just because he's due one, because I look at the matchup, and this matchup has a recipe for disaster because Denver gets after the quarterback like no team in the NFL. And our offensive line, let's face it, there's smoke and mirrors going on. Sometimes they look like they're a B+, A-, and other times they look like they're a solid F. So the matchup that most scares me coming into tonight is their defensive front against our offensive line.
And they have maybe the best cover corner in the NFL.
Oh, add that in there too.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, do I trust Jameis implicitly? No. Do I think he gives them the best chance to win of all the quarterbacks on the roster? Yeah, right now.
Not much debate there.
Yeah, yeah.
There's not
So,
much
can I sit here and say you can write him down right now for 250 yards, even 275 yards, 2 touchdowns and no picks? No, I'm not.
No way.
You can't count on that every night. I'm kind of in Bull's camp with this. Like I think James has had a fine season. He had one bad game. He's done a fine job since the Browns put him in. I'm just not ready to run down the aisle and marry him yet.
Right, you want to see more.
Yeah.
Take him on a few more dates.
Yeah. Broncos averaging 3.7 sacks per game, which is the best in the league.
That's incredible. So this is really like the meet the parent stage of dating. Like, you're not willing to ask for their hand in marriage, but you're taking the giant leap of saying, I've been with this person long enough, it's time they meet the parents.
Oh, I'm not. We're still in Netflix and chill.
Are you really?
Oh, we're not meeting the parents yet. Been 3 dates.
And if
You
I was,
kidding?
No, it's been 4.
and if I
Fine.
was,
Jason, you think you're getting Netflix and chill that quickly? Not
Before
every
you
girl's
meet the-
gonna-
Oh, listen, if Jason wasn't getting Netflix and chill by game 5,
She'd be out.
she was out.
and hold on,
I'm just calling it what it
Jason's not a
is.
patient man.
And he's not the only one on this panel that would.
and if I was,
Meanwhile, G's married by the 5th time.
if I was the parents of the said Browns in this, I'm telling them to go trap Jameis Winston. You might want to go and get him.